Right. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me know. Oh, what a day. Right. So for you guys that are watching this on the replay, I'm going to just tell you now so you know. But then obviously people are going to drop on the live and I'll have to go back through it again. But if you want to spend the day with me plastering, we've organised an experience day and teamed up with Liverpool School of Plastering. And basically, they've let us use their facility. They're going to be involved with it themselves. And we're going to do a day in March, the second weekend in March at Liverpool School of Plastering. We're going to do a plastering experience day where you can come down and practice any sort of things that you want to work on, any techniques, whatever you feel like you'd like to do more of. That's what we're going to do for the day. And then afterwards, we'll whiz off. We'll do a whole day's plastering. We'll whiz off and go for a pint and something to eat, and hopefully have a good laugh. There's hotels nearby, so I'm going to be checking into a hotel so I can have a good laugh afterwards, have a couple of beers with whoever. That's the plan. That's the day. Now, there was 6 spots available, and there's 5 gone, so there's 1 left. And I thought, you know what? It's only been out for 3 days ago, I think we mentioned it, and it's already basically sold out. But I thought I haven't dropped on a live and told you guys that I always tune into my lives. So I thought if anyone fancies it, the opportunity's there. If you want to jump in, you're more than welcome. Just click the link in the description and jump on board. Anyway, we'll go back over that now because no doubt further on in the live, people will ask me what's going on. We can talk about it again. But that was just for those guys that are going to watch it on the replay. So they haven't got to sit through me just waffling before we get down to the meat and bones of the situation. So Sunday, I'm stuffed as a pig. I've had 2 roast dinners. I'll tell you why in a minute, but not ideal. Right, anyway, here we go. John Andrews, how you doing, mates? Plumber Boy, how you doing? Michael Patterson, JU57Tel, how's it going, mate? Thank you very much. Calvin Jones, all right, Kirk, any line work? Not on the plastering experience day. It's going to be multi-finishing board finish, mate. I think what's going to be there. Might be able to do a little bit of floating work, some bonding if people request it. Then I'll get a couple of bags of bonding there, or hard wall, and we can have a bit of mess around with some back coat plaster. But I don't think, not on this first one. This is just going to be the sort of finding our feet, you know, figuring things out going forward, depending how. I was going to say how successful it is. The day's already successful. I mean, it's basically we've sold out in 3 days, pretty much 4 days. Say if someone buys the last spot today or tomorrow, it'd be 4 days tomorrow. I thought we'll give it maybe a month to sell all the spots, and they've just gone like that. So I already know it's successful. It's something that people, because trying to find what people want to do, that's the hard, you know, I spend all my time trying to think of content. What do people want to know about? What do people want to see? You know, and then like you come up with these different things. It's like, okay, what would people like to do? Would they like to have an experience day where they can come and do some plastering with me, or wouldn't they? And you don't know. So I don't know how it's going to go. I'll make a commitment to the plastering school that I'm going to pay them X amount of money and book a day with them so that I can just take over the whole school for a day. And I don't know how things are going to pan out, but ultimately I've seen now it's, you know, it's sold like that. So I know it's going to be successful. But if it's not fun, if we don't enjoy it, if it's not productive, then I don't want to waste people's time and money. So we're going to see how it goes. If it's great, then we'll do more. And if they're great, and then we can start covering more things and doing different aspects of plastering on different dates, and it works, then we'll do that. But we'll just see how it goes for now, you know. So no line work just yet, but potentially we can talk about it on the day anyway. Andy Rue, love your channel, mate. I'm a young nipper, been learning plastering for a year, absolutely love it. It's tough, but great. Watch you all the time with the other boys. Cheers, Andy. Thank you, mate. Plumber boy, did you like the pictures of the arch I sent you? Was that you? Yes, fair play to you, mate. Yeah, that was flipping spot on, that, yeah. Phil Stoneham. How you doing, Phil? Moisty Martinez. Hard work with you. Moisty, get yourself into the channel description, mate. There's a link there in the channel. In the description of this video, there's a link there, mate. Matt Ryan, good, mate. I hope you're good as well, mate. Eric from Ask the Plasterer. Early night for me. Yeah, I know. I'm literally. What time is it now? It's 10 o'clock already. I'm literally. I say this every time. I'm jumping on for an hour and then that's it. I've got to go to bed. I've got we're doing a thing with Eco Ren tomorrow where we're gonna be using their thin coat system. I'm filming it. And I've got me pre-op for me knee tomorrow. So I've got to have an early night because I've got things I need to. I'm busy myself tomorrow. Josh S. My mate Jack needs some serious pointers. No, he doesn't. Leave him alone. Prep at the Bull. Mate, I've tried SBR a few times from your recommendations, and the plaster bubbles and dries the plaster out so quick. Like too quick. Okay, mate. That's interesting. So, I don't know what brand of SBR you're using. Now, I'm not trying to let me turn this heater off a minute. I'm not trying to plug my own product. So we make SBR, a plasterer's blend of it. It's quite strong. There we go. It's I've got an infrared heater up there. It's like being in the microwave sometimes. So SBR, what you find is what I didn't know this at first. I just thought if it says SBR on the tub, it's SBR. That's what I've always believed. Since getting into doing our own brand of it, what you find is they're all SBR, but SBR is an emulsion. So what that means is it's like a solid suspended in a liquid. So it's got polymers and it's basically a liquid rubber suspended in water. Okay. Now, when you start speaking to the nerds, the science nerds, they start explaining to you that there's different solids contents, which basically just means some are stronger than others. So I don't know what brands you're using that could be causing the plaster to bubble. I do know that our pink SPR is the strongest. There's nothing else you can buy on the market that has a higher solid content than our one. So that basically means that there's more of the good stuff in the one that we do. Now, that said, the plaster bubbling could be for a few reasons. You could be getting on the SPR. I don't know what brand you're using, but you could be getting on it too soon. Or there's been a problem with multi-finish because multi-finish, I don't know. We had a few people sort of messaging us about plaster potentially bubbling. And when I did tests on it, because I never experienced it myself, I plaster every day, never had an issue with it ever. But when I've used multi, I had a few little problems with the multi tearing away from bits. You'd trowel it and it would just slide off, you know, just the odd little bit would just wipe off. And it was just a multi finish. Since then, we've had better batches of multi and it's fine again. So it could potentially be that. But it's hard to say without knowing exactly what you do, mate, and how long you're leaving it and what you're going over, you know. If the plaster's setting too fast, sounds like you're going over a high suction background and not giving it long enough to dry, though. So I'll potentially, if you're going over a high suction background, put your SBR on, whatever brand you're using, and leave it for, you know, if it's a high suction background, do it the day before. And then you know then, because SBR will dry, but then it cures and works better over a longer time. So if you leave it for 20 minutes, half an hour, it'll be dry, but you'll still get some suction through it. If you leave it for 6 hours, it'll be completely sealed, you know. Calvin, cheers. Richard Morris, evening. Eddie Gilks, Kirk, enjoyed watching your video today on leveling the floor. I need mine doing, but never done it before. It's 42 meters squared. Any tips? Appreciated, man. 42 meters squared. I would definitely go and get yourself a gauge rake and some spikes, because what I did, the floor you see me do, was a little tiny baby one, you know. And it's not too bad because it's a few bags going down, whereas that sounds like a massive floor. You're definitely going to want someone mixing that knows exactly what they're doing, and you want to be in there with your spikes on, being able to walk around and not bent over like I was with a trowel, you know. Get yourself a gauge rake. They're not expensive. It just means you can stand up and do the spreading around of the leveling compound, you know. The Wandering Mason, are we getting plastered, are we? So I'll tell you what's happened with me today. I got this morning and I said to the missus, right, I fancy having something nice to eat today, you know. We'll go out somewhere nice for tea or for dinner, whatever. And then we always think then, who can we take with us, you know? Can we take friends? Shall we invite mum and dad? Shall we invite... So our Maisie, my middle daughter, she's 16. She's got herself a nice boyfriend, and he's a lovely lad. You know, they've been together about 4 or 5 months now. And I said, why don't we? Because I've met the lad once. I said, why don't we invite Maisie and her boyfriend to come out for lunch with us? We can get to know him. Now, her boyfriend, his mum and dad own a big dairy farm, and he does milking. The lad works 7 days a week on his farm, milking cows. So he doesn't finish work till late. So I said to my missus, look, I don't fancy waiting, you know, till 7 o'clock. Let us go out now and we'll have a little bite now, and then, because she booked the table, you see, for later on, so he could come. So we nipped out to this place, and the roast dinners looked amazing. So we had a roast dinner whilst we were there, because we thought, well, you know, we'll have a light bite later with him when we take the daughter and our boyfriend out. But then when we went out later, the only thing that they were doing was roast dinners. So I ended up having 2 roast dinners. Now, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have ate another roast dinner. But the fact is, this lad has been looking forward to his dinner all day. It's the first time he's been out with his girlfriend's mum and dad. So how could I say, right, we're going to sit here and just watch you eat? You know, it'd be a bit nerve-wracking experience for him, a bit of a ruthless thing to do. So I said to my missus, we've got to eat. We can't just sit there and watch them 2 eat, because that'd be a bit weird. He'd feel like he's being interrogated. So I've had 2 roast dinners, man. No wonder I'm flipping fat. The Rock. Hi from Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm a retired electrician, but obviously I still can't hang my belt. It's nice watching you work. You do quite a nice job. Cheers, my mate. Thank you very much. And you're in a beautiful part of the world as well, aren't you? Canada's one of the places on my list that I want to go to be fair. Almighty Bob. Hey, Kirk, I was going to get in touch with you about a ceiling that needs doing. I've done plastering for a few months now, self-taught, but doing a ceiling seems daunting. I'll be honest with you, mate. I hate saying no to people, but I'm sort of, I've got that much stuff sort of on the go now with different things that I'm basically, mate, I'm flipping got no time to do. I haven't got time. Before anybody else asks, by the way, in the chat, I haven't even got time to do my own bathroom, and I'm in a crap situation where I can't let anybody else do it, because if somebody else does it, then I won't be able to film it. And then everybody go, oh, yeah, he started his bathroom, but he couldn't finish it. He didn't know what he was doing. So I've got to do it, but I haven't even got time to finish my own jobs. So it's a flipping nightmare, man. Frankie Ball, evening, Kirk. Hopes all's good. Watching from Portsmouth, with the wife. She loves your accent, so I've started talking like John Bishop. Right, here's a funny thing. John Bishop, right, he's a fake Scouser. John Bishop is actually from Northwich, which, when you look on the map, you've got Liverpool here, then you've got Ellesmere Port, and then Northwich is off He's actually closer to Chester. I'm more of a Scouser than John Bishop, but I'm not a Scouser. But yeah. Anyway, if you can tell jokes like him, mate, you'd be all right. He's a funny guy, isn't he? Calvin Jones. I agree with prepare the bull. Boom, what did prepare the bull say? Yeah, that you're struggling with the SBR. It's pulling in too fast. Okay. I would say to you, I don't know what, I'm not trying to sell you. Buy some pink SPR or buy some SPR from us, whether you get clear, it's the same strength. Buy some of that, paint it on, skim it the next day, and then you'll see the difference and use board finish. I think if you do that, you'll have no issues whatsoever. It'll just be the nicest gauge of plastering you've ever done in your life, personally. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. Sometimes, see, if you get bad bags of finish, could be a bad batch of multi. When I say a bad batch, they're always different. Sometimes, it's greasy. Sometimes the stuff seems to be separating the bucket. Sometimes it can be like, I don't know. The finishing plaster is not like it used to be 20 years ago. I remember when I first started and finishing plaster was like whipped cream. It was beautiful to use. I don't know what they've done that's changed, but it's just not as good as it used to be. So sometimes you get batches of finish, the whole palette, and the stuff's horrible, I've had it where I'm polishing and it's gone dark and it starts tearing and all sorts of stuff. And it's not, that's over plasterboard. You can just have bad bags of finish sometimes, where are we up to? Okay, 1 p.m. Is it? Oh no. Okay, this dude's not even got a name. Ever used that magnetic plaster so trendy types can put dreadful fridge magnets on the walls? Such tiny bags. Yes, I have, mate. I'll tell you what, I only did it just for a little test. I just got some ordered in and did it. I thought that the plaster itself was going to be magnetic, and I was quite disappointed to find out that it's not. It's just got like metal filings in it. So this one, I'm flipping roasted in here. It's just got like metal filings in it or something, so that magnets will stick to it. And it's a bit weird to trowel up because it's that color, so it's weird trying to trowel it up. But we should do a video on that, to be fair, shouldn't we? Set to go off fast. Yeah, coders. Hello, Kirk. How are you, mate? Good, thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Plumber boy, it's most probably the surface. Yeah. Calvin, I only use pink. Good man. Good man. Just remember, Calvin, as well. Sometimes pink might not be the most ideal because you could have a room that's absolutely immaculate, and you don't want to get a tiny little splash on the skirting board. We do clear as well, mate. That said, I just use the pink stuff all the time because I'm neat. If I spill something, I wipe it up. I'd rather see it and wipe it off rather than it being visible and it still be there, if you know what I mean. So I use the pink. Leo, hi. Where did you get the breather plaster from when you did the wood stove, and how much was it? It's 32 quid a bag at Travis Perkins. Just look on Amazon, mate. Have a look on Amazon, you get it cheaper on there. Just Google the stuff. I actually got it direct from them, from Breather Plaster. I don't know if you can buy it direct from them. See, I got in touch with them and told them that I wanted to do this video, and that's how I ended up getting it. So I'm not sure if they sell it direct or if you can only buy it from a third party. But I know you can buy it from Amazon. So, because since then I've bought it myself from Amazon. NJP Plastering Services. I love your tips and tricks, Kirk. Every day's a school day. 100%. Pair the ball. Cheers, mate. Yeah, no worries. Let me know how you get on, though, mate. Be interested. We'll have a chat again next week and see how you got on with it. Kane Ito. After your multi is finished video, switch the board and the finish and process has been night and day. Whether it was a bad batch or not, the board is so much nicer. Yeah. I only ever use board finish, and sometimes I get a bad palette of board finish, but usually it's quite nice, you know. Clint, hi Kirk, how are you doing? How much is the day experience? It's £300, mate. 300 quid for the day experience, and that basically covers the cost of us hiring out the plastering school, covers the cost of all the materials, the insurance, the public liability, all that crap you have to have, and then also, included in that as well, we're going to go to the pub. We're going to buy you a meal and a couple of pints. When I say a couple, I mean I'm not taking you on the beer all night. Like, you'll get a meal and 2 pints, and if you want to stay longer, then you can do. But that's basically it, mate. Yeah, 300 quid, and that covers the cost of me renting the school, paying me for the day, and all the rest of it. So, trying to do it, to be fair, it would have been better for me for it to be more, but it's also got to be at a point where you think, well, it's starting to get a bit ridiculous how much it's going to cost. I mean, ultimately, yeah, we'll see in the future if we end up with a bigger space with more people, and the cost can come down. But ultimately, Liverpool School of Plastering has given this opportunity. Great fella, Ben, for doing it. And I think we'll leave it in his court, because I wouldn't want to. He's given the opportunity to do it, and I wouldn't want to sort of go behind his back and do something without him. So now he's tied in with me because we're doing it together. It's if it works really well and Liverpool School of Plastering end up getting a bigger place, then it'll work out cheaper. But ultimately, we'll just have to stick with Ben for now. I'm sort of like that in business, you know. If I do something with someone, then I sort of stay with them, you know. I don't like to sort of shit on someone, if that makes sense. Matt Ryan had 50 litres of pink off you, and always spot on board finish, man. Now from your videos, mate. Sorry, I'm going to read that again, Ryan. Sorry. Had 50 litres of pink SBR off you, and always spot on a board finish, man. Now from your videos, man. Right, sound good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad it's working well for you, mate. Codis. Hi, Kirk. I'm an apprentice who puts on and gets his work to a decent standard. What would you pay for someone on my level? It all depends, mate. It's not so much what you're going to be limited by, Codis, is not so much what you believe you're worth yourself. When you're being taught by somebody and you're an apprentice, it's what they value you at, you know, and it's what they value themselves at. For instance, there's some plasterers out there that are charging £400 or £500 a day, okay, because they think they're wonderful and they do a great job and the customers pay it and happy days. So they can afford to pay their apprentices more, especially if the apprentice is, you know, really shining and doing fantastic work. Great. You could be a fantastic apprentice, but you could be working for a fella that only believes he's worth £110 a day. So if that plasterer is going out there and he's only earning 110, he's not going to be giving you 200, is he? You know, he's sort of, because he's got this thing. Now, I sort of know that a lot pricing does come down to a little bit your area where you live to an extent, because there'll be other fellas charging this, you know, you got to be sort of in with the rates of what other people are charging. But also, a lot of it comes down to the mindset of the plasterer, you know. A lot of guys that come off building sites into private work charge really cheap prices. It's just because that's their mindset of, you know, you've got to do so many meters to earn that sort of money. So they come and do a bedroom for, you know, 150 quid. Whereas somebody that understands the value that they bring and the more things that you can do for the customer that increases your value, you can charge a lot more. And trying to instill that mindset into plasterers is quite difficult. But yeah, it's, in a nutshell, mate, what I'm trying to say is you're only going to earn as much as the fella's willing to pay you. I wouldn't worry about it too much now. the best advice I could give you as an apprentice is doesn't forget what you're earning. I know it's a crap way of looking at it. Forget what you're earning. Just try and become the best plasterer you can possibly be. When you are no longer the apprentice, when you've finished your apprenticeship and you can do everything, then focus on what can you do to be the best plasterer in your area. I don't mean actually doing the job, but how easy are you to deal with? You know, what's your customer service like? What are all the extra benefits that you can bring? Are you easy to deal with? Are you a nice person? You know, all these things increase your value and you can start to charge more. So I would just focus on being the best apprentice in the world at the moment and worry about the pricing further down the line, mate, when you're on your own, when you're running your own show, you know. Trevor Gray, mate, been doing it 37 years now. Can't even move my arm. Weekends when resting. I know the feeling, mate. I know the feeling. MCFC. Sorry, Kurt. Keep the good work. Top man. Love Myland. Top man. Cheers, mate. David Matthews. Evening. Midnight Toker. Based in Kirkby then. Yeah, with me name. Thomas Ryan. Evening, Kurt. Top man watching from Limerick Island. Flipping out. We've got a few Irish fellas in tonight. DJ Napper. Why do I always get tiger stripes, ripples when my plaster dries? I use a Marshalltown to lay on and a neon black addition to flatten down. Okay, what you might be doing, mate, is tiger stripes can be for a couple of reasons. You might be getting on it too soon. You might be getting on it when it's a bit too wet. You know, maybe you should put a little bit more plaster on or leave it a little bit longer in between trials. That could be a problem. You could be using too much water, or your trowel that you're using to lay on with could be not broken enough, too new, you know, if it's not sharp yet. There's probably other reasons as well, but there are a few things that I can think of on the top of my head, mate, you know. James Anthony Whitehead. I've been over plastering Artex and I've given 3 coats of finishing plaster and still need skimming. Can I put too many layers on the ceiling? So, I mean, different fellas are going to give you a different advice on this. If a ceiling's been plastered and then artexed and then skimmed and then re-skimmed, you know, it's already got like 4 layers on and then you're going to put another layer on. I mean, it all depends. The real question is, how well is the preparation been done for each previous coat of plaster? I mean, if it's okay if you've done the correct prep and you've used a good sealer before you've skimmed it, but if the guy that's done the artexing hasn't, so I mean, if as long as everybody else has done a good prep, then really, you know, I mean, there's got to be a point where you're going to say, look, it's ridiculous. The ceiling's far too thick. You know, the whole thing could drop off. But ultimately, I'd say, you know, something I've seen jobs been re-skimmed maybe 3 or 4 times, but after that, I'd say just rip it out and start again. You know. Ireland 1968. Hi from Florida, mate. Liverpool all the way. Spot on. DJ Napper. Where can I buy the pink SBR from Kirk? Okay, if you want that, mate, go into the description of this video. Click that link. That's like my personal little landing page, and just go down to our products, and that'll take you straight to the site. But if you want to go direct to the site, just type in plasterersblend.com or pinksbr.co.uk. Both of those domain names will take you to the same site. Or, like I say, just click the link in the description here. Darius Matulevicius. Darius Matulevicius. I think that's how you say it. How you doing, Darius, anyway? Cheers, mate. David Matthews. Trend on old bricks, would you sure first? Sorry, mate. You just type that again for us, Dave, because I know you're asking me a question, but I can't get the gist of what it is, mate. Peter Nelson, I've used that. Spot on. David Matthews. Oh, K-Rend on old bricks. Would you sure first or seal first? Just use their base coat, HP 12. It's fine. You can pretty much go on anything with that, mate. Magic Butters class. Hey, love the content. What's the best way to plaster a wall if you don't want to go around the corner onto the next wall? So can't use a corner bead, if that makes sense. Well, DIY. Okay. Yes, it does make sense. What I do in that situation is just make sure you've sealed right to the corner with your primer, your PVA, your SPR, whatever. And then what you're going to have to do is just feather into the old bead, which you're going to have to just press into the old bead. It's not going to be the most straightforward thing, but as you're doing it, in between each trowel, just brush it with a wet water brush. Just use your water brush and just brush up and down the angle, and that'll help you feather into the bead. Now, what might happen is you might start seeing some of the background through the plaster, and it's going to look a little bit messy as you're doing it, but just work with it, because eventually it'll be flat and smooth, even if there's background showing. As long as you use plenty of water when you're brushing it and blending in, it'll blend in quite nice. David Matthews. Right, okay, here we go. I'm piecing your questions together, Dave. I'm slowly piecing it together. So it started out, trend on old bricks, would you sure first? And then I've got K-Rend, and then a couple of seconds later we've found SPR. So I know what you're saying now. K-Rend on old bricks, would you SPR it first? Mate, the predictive texts had you. I know what's happened. I know you can spell, but your predictive text's just gone wild on you. So, no, you don't need to. You can do. Putting SB on there will help it, but it doesn't need it. Just use the HP 12 base coat and you'll be fine, mate, you know. It'll be okay. Where are we going now? Right. Mac 10, you busy? How's the weather? Weather's not too bad here, mate. Liverpool School of Plastering. This is the guy we're teaming up with. Ben, spot on, mate. Fantastic. I was just saying to these guys, Ben, we've got one spot left on the course. If anybody wants to jump on, I thought it was going to take us about a month to sell all the spots, but ultimately it's been like 3 days. So here we are. But this is where we'll be going, guys, with Ben here, Liverpool School of Plastering. Huge S. Is it possible to get a really good finish with one coat plaster? Yeah, I can't see why not. If it's the one coat plaster I'm thinking of, it's like a base coat and a top coat all in one. It doesn't polish the nicest, but you can get it nice and flat. I mean, ultimately, when you paint it, it's the texture of paint anyway, isn't it? So, I wouldn't want to use it all the time, but I have used it just to see what it was like. And there's certain situations where I would use it again. But ultimately, if you want to get a nice, smooth polish, then you need to use finishing plasters. But I mean, what's the point? You're only going to paint it anyway. Plumber boy, I'm not even reading them out. You flipping bad man. A Mac 10 joining in with him. Flip it. Listen, lads, you're gonna get me flipping booted off YouTube. I can't even read your comments. Elliot Delisle Langlios. Hope I've done your name justice there, Elliot. What's up? How you doing? All good, mate. Thank you for asking. FTR Tempo, great channel. No, RTR Tempo, sorry. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Thomas Ryan, any chance of a shout out, Kirk? My birthday today, having a few pints of the black stuff myself, Limerick Island. Tom, happy birthday, mate. Cheers to you. In fact, since your birthday, I'm gonna have another one. Cheers, mate. Rich Livingston, hey up, mate. How's it going? You and Leighton still going strong. How's it going? So Rich is my mate. Me and Rich do plastering together from time to time. Yeah, Leighton's gone, mate. I've gone. I tell you, he was here before, actually. So I don't know how long you guys have been watching me for, but young Kieran, the original apprentice from my channel, was back here just before. He's come to see me, and we're doing a little venture together on a different thing. But he wants to open a coffee shop, Kieran. So we've had a little chat about doing something together, and maybe me helping him out with it. But yeah, since then we've had Nath, we've had Leighton. Now we're on to Reese. So Reese is the latest one. I've stopped introducing them because they don't last long. It's flipping nuts. Young lads these days, they're just to be fair, all the lads that I've had to this point, Kieran, he went off and did his own thing. He wanted to go and work with disabled people. Fantastic lad. Nathan was a lovely lad, hard worker. Can't fault him. Things just didn't work out between us. Leighton, again, another great lad. But, you know, people's lives are going in different directions and they want different things, you know, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I've got nothing bad to say about the lads, though. They've all been good lads and we've all remained friends afterwards, but sometimes just things don't go. I need to go in one direction and I wanted to go this way and it just doesn't always work out, you know. Trying to find someone that just gels with you is difficult. Kieran was a good lad, but, you know, he wanted to go and do different stuff, so it is what it is. We've got Reese now, and Reese is more interesting. The lad doesn't speak to me. He's my nephew. Reese now, who's working with me now, literally, we drive to work in silence and drive home in silence. The lad just doesn't talk, but I don't mind sometimes. I just switch off, you know. I'm in my own thoughts, so it doesn't really matter. But he's a lovely lad. He's a good lad. C. Niall. VAT on the pink stuff. Yes. Unfortunately, yes, there is VAT on the pink stuff, mate. It's included in the price, though, so don't worry about it. There's no extra on top for you to pay. The VAT is in the price. We had to go VAT registered. Once you hit a certain threshold, that's it. You know, there's no getting away from it. So, Elliot, have you ever done drywall finishing like they do in the USA? Is it a thing over in the UK? Yes, I've done a little bit of, we call it tape and jointing, or maybe fellas call it different things. Where in my neck of the woods in the UK, we call it tape and jointing. I've done a little tiny bit of it. I don't like it. In my opinion, I mean, probably because I'm not the fastest at it, but I thought to myself, by the time I've done all the first coat, the second coat, the sanding down, I could have just skimmed the wall just as fast. But I'd imagine on massive areas, if you had, you know, hundreds of meters to go at, it'd be beneficial. But for me, I think I could skim just as quick as I could tape and joint, and it's a better job. When you put a layer of finishing plaster on the wall, it's like an extra harder shell on the plasterboard, so it's an extra layer of protection. And also, the way we sort of see it in the UK, a lot of plasterers see it as that tape and jointing is sort of not devaluing the trade, but it's sort of like taking it away. You know, you're sort of taking the skill away, because obviously it's a bit more skill to plaster something than what it is to tape and joint it. So we try and sort of resist it, if that makes sense. We're trying to hold on to the traditional old ways, you know. But ultimately, you know, in the future, you know it's going to go that way, don't you? Everything these days is just going for speed and cost. So of course, you know, another 40 or 50 years, people like me will be gone, won't we? There won't be any more finishing plaster. The only place we'll exist then is just reskimming in people's homes, domestic homes, reskimming plaster, you know, over old walls. That's where we'll still exist. And ultimately, what will happen is, because it'll go less and less, you know, the trade will sort of shrink. It'll just ultimately become more specialised, and the prices will go up, which is good for plasterers, but bad for the public, I think, in general. Sean O'Donnell, even Kirk, good to see you on YouTube Live. Yeah, cheers, Sean. Or Scene, sorry. I don't know which way Sean. There's two ways of pronouncing it, isn't there, mate? So, James Washington, hey, Kirk, love your videos, and I've learned a lot watching you work. Do you find plastering therapeutic? No. No. I think it's more therapeutic to watch someone plastering than what it is doing it. Liverpool School of Plastering, Ben, gifted 10 memberships out, flipping. This is what I mean about this fella. How could I not want to work with this guy? He's just the most generous person you could flipping meet. Thank you, Ben. You're a gentleman. So that's Magic Butterclass, RTR Tempo, Katie Gnomes, Dino, Mr. Mineral, Jobby, Richard Grave, Dave Jenkins, Sonia, and Mark Holt have all just been gifted memberships. Guys, I'll make sure I put some behind-the-scenes content out for you guys tomorrow that are members. Cheers, Ben. You're a gentleman. Mac 10. That's nuts. Who's charging 110? I want 200 take-home from builders, 250 take-home private. Yeah, what's interesting, Mac 10, is in my mindset, I think every sort of tradesman should be earning £300 a day minimum. By the time you take into account your tax that you're going to pay, your insurance contributions, you've got to obviously run your van, buy your tools, and all the rest of that nonsense that goes along with it. And you've got to have some profit in your business. I think £300 really is the minimum. Some guys, you know, I mean, I'm not knocking you, by the way. I'm just saying, by the time you take all that into account, because you have to make some profit in your business, because if a recession comes, if you hurt yourself and you're off work, you know, you just starve to death and die, wouldn't you? You've got to sort of, I mean, I don't mean you personally. I mean, your business, you know, you've got to have some sort of profit in your business so that, you know, if you're out of work for a month or two, you can still live, you know. But yeah, there's fellas out there, mate. There's fellas near me that are working for £80 a day. I'm not joking. There's fellas near me that are doing jobs for 80 quid. So this is the mad thing about plastering. Clutchman, I love your channel. 300 plus, traveling all the way up to Liverpool is far too much for me. Keep up the great work. Love everything you stand for, Craig. Cheers, mate. Thanks for the support. If we can get the price down in the future, mate, we 100% will. Joe James, hi, Kirk, mate. Yesterday, I've had a very unfortunate job doing some patching around the house after the plumber. He got me the work. When the plumber arrived, he complained about my finish. Part 1. Oh, sorry to hear about that, mate. Bobby Orr, how many pints down are you, bro? This will be... I had a pint with me meal. That one. So this is number 3, but spread out over about 3 hours. Basically, I feel like I'm just drinking a cup of tea, mate, to be honest with you. You know, it's not like if I'd had about 5 or 6 in the last hour that I'd feel it. But got those bevy eyes. No, mate, it's not bevy eyes. I've just got very little eyes. It's just the way I was born. I've got those bevy eyes. I've got like, and this is no offense to Chinese people, but I've got like little Chinese eyes, haven't I? It's one thing that drives me Mrs. Wild. You know, when I first met her, she I love your little puppy dog eyes. I was thinking, I don't know what puppy dogs you've seen. I've got eyes like a little flipping lizard or something. Samuel Ingham, what's the deal with the Trump sign, if you don't mind me asking? No, I don't mind you asking. Right, so I'll tell you the deal with the Trump sign. Young Kieran was my first apprentice, and one of the things that I told him that I wished I had done Oh, do you know what? Sorry, I'm just watching this flashing here. I've got a tally turned on there. I've got a tally there and a tally above you there, and that light was in my screen. My apprentice, when I started this YouTube channel, Kieran, lovely young lad, heart of gold, and one thing I told him that I wished I'd done when I was his age was to travel the world. So I said to him, look, I sort of pushed my dream onto him. I said to him, one day you're going to wake up married with 4 kids and a mortgage and all these bills and all the rest of it, and you won't be able to just go off and travel the world, mate. You're going to be sort of stuck for a long time. I said, so whilst you're young and you've got no commitments, go and see the world. So I said, it's something I wished I'd done. So what he did for me was, whilst he was traveling, everywhere he went, he would get these. You can only see a few of them. See these plaques here. Look, this Vienna, Croatia. There's Amsterdam. There's New York. Everywhere he went, he got me these little badges, and that was the New York one. But I do actually like Donald Trump, and what I found is, with it being there, it really triggers some people. And some people aren't tolerant whatsoever, and they hate it. So I actually like Donald Trump, but my best mate hates him. So I've got a best mate that actually hates Donald Trump, and we agree to disagree. I'm a very tolerant person. I don't care who people like or who they don't like. I just take them on face value for who they are. That seems to keep out all the snowflakes. So the amount of people that I've had saying, yeah, I did like you till I knew you liked Donald Trump, and I'm leaving now. So if all I say is, if you're the type of person that can't handle someone having a different opinion, then off you go. I'm not saying that about you, by the way. I'm just saying that's how I view it, you know. But look at this. This would drive him absolutely wild, wouldn't it? I've just come back from New York myself. He lives on my desk, little trumpet. There you go. He's guarding me pint of Guinness. Joe James, in my opinion, the work was fine. There were a few little areas that weren't perfect, but he refused to let me fix them, and he did it with filler. Now he's refusing to pay me my full amount. That's a bit naff, mate. Yeah, sorry to hear that, Joe. There's not really much you can do, mate. I mean, well, there is. I mean, you can. There's not really much I can advise you, is what I'm trying to say. But ultimately, just comes down to how important this plumber is to you, and whether you think he's trying to pull a fast one on you or not. You know, if the work was genuinely bad, then it's fair enough, mate. You know, if you've done a bad job, then that's on you. But if the job was good and he's just pretending it's bad so he doesn't have to pay you, then you know there's a few routes you can go down with it, but probably best me not talk about them on the internet, you know. But you could actually Google things that you can do when someone doesn't pay you, because there's a lot of stuff that you can do before you go to court. There's a few things that you can do before that, you know. But just Google it, mate, you know. Alfie Shearer, hi, I'm starting a new job tomorrow as a dry liner after being a tape and jointer. And I was just wondering, what's the best advice to give myself, the best start and the best impression? Okay. Starting job as a dry. So if you're going into dry lining from tape and jointing, I'm assuming that what that means for you is, rather than just filling the joints on the plasterboard, you're now going to be installing the plasterboard. So the best advice to give you the best start and the best impression, mate, dry lining is hard work. I would just say, flipping, the best advice I could give you, mate, is get to bed, because you're going to need your energy tomorrow. It's flipping carrying plasterboards all day, mate, is not. I mean, especially if you've got a load out as well. I don't know if the loading is done for you, but if you're carrying packs of plasterboards upstairs all day, then you're going to need your Weetabix, ultimately. But that said, I'm not taking a mick. Cutting plasterboards, there's a bit of an act to it. I mean, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs. You're better off taking your time, going slow at first and getting the technique and the cuts perfect, you know, measuring things slightly under an eighth of an inch or, 5 mil shorter than it needs to be so it fits nicely. Because trying to cut things perfect, they never fit. Just get used to just doing a nice job and then the speed will come. So I don't know how much boarding you've done. I don't know how much dry lining you've done. But if you haven't done a lot, that's the best way to go about it, is just take it steady and slow, get the skills nailed down, and then speed will come. But trying to go fast without being neat is like a bird with one wing, You're just going to be going round in circles and having to replace things and making more of a mess. So that'd be my advice, mate. Just take it easy and speed will just come naturally with time. FPV Fishing. Hello, mate. How you going, mate? You okay? Midnight Toker. Sorry, matey. Wasn't taking a mic. I meant, where's your training gaff? Oh, okay. I don't even know the address. Liverpool School of Plastering. Just Google Liverpool School of Plastering. That's where it is. I wish I could tell you. I know where it is because I've had to copy and paste the address, but I can't think off the top of my head. I'll tell you what, we'll just Google it. I think it's in Heighton. When I've been there, and I've just put it in the sat nav and just followed my nose. Let's find out. Ben might pop up in the comments and just tell us. I'm sorry, I'm on my phone here. Unit 1, Derby Works, Birchall Road, Liverpool. That's where it is. Okay. David Matthews, cheers, Kirk. USS Liberty, never forget. Hey, friend, what do you think of arm wrestling? You have strong wrists, I'm sure. Yeah, I've actually I've got a video of me going into a pub once in Rock Ferry, and do you know what? I walked into this boozer up by myself. I love a pint after work, so I was working. Rock Ferry is sort of, I'm not knocking the place, by the way, but it's like, it's known as, it's got a bit of a reputation for being quite a tough sort of place. It's not, it's like, not rough, but it's got a reputation, right? Anyway, so I'm working in this place and I finished work and I just nipped into the pub and I didn't realise that some pubs, like, your local sort of council estate pubs, they're just full of local people. So when a random person just walks in, especially years ago, people just think you're an undercover copper. That's what it used to be like in the pubs that I drank in round Ellesmere Port. So anyway, I've walked into this boozer, and straight away, everyone in the pub is just looking at me. They're just, who the hell's he? Just walked in here. But I had my work clothes on, so they knew I wasn't a what's the name? They knew I wasn't a copper. I'm assuming so. Anyway, they're having a little arm wrestling competition at the back of the pub. And next minute, some lad shouts over to me. I'm at the bar. He's like, "Yo, mate, have an arm wrestle." Now, I've not blown my own trumpet. I'm quite good at arm wrestling. So I've just thought to myself, I'm in this pub by myself, right? It's full of everybody that knows each other. And I've just walked in a random stray off the street. I can't have an arm wrestling here because it's just going to lead to a kick-off, isn't it? It's just going to create tension that doesn't need to be there. So I've just said, "Nah, I'm all right, mate. I'm tired of just finished work." And they're going, "Go on, go on." So, no. So I've just turned round and I've had a swig of my pint, and all I heard was, "You fanny." I was like, "Oh, here we go." It's like, "Go ahead, you fanny." I was like, "All right, sound." So we did the little arm wrestle with one of the lads there. And to be fair, like, he only had little chicken wings, like, so I beat him. And then the next guy, they were shouting, "Get Tommy," I think his name was. Like, "Get Tommy, get Tommy." So this guy must have been the guy that had won all he'd won all, you know, he was like the champion arm wrestler in the pub or whatever. So he comes along, and to be fair, his arms were about the size of his legs. I think he was a steadhead, you know, he'd had a load of steroids in it. So I was having the arm wrestle with him. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but one of them was filming it on his phone. Long story short, I managed to beat him. And after that, I just necked me pint and got out of there quick because he wasn't too happy about it and everyone was taking the piss out of him. And I thought it's only a matter of time before things start going sideways. Now, I'm not stupid. I know that, you know, you're in someone else's pub and you've just embarrassed somebody. Give him 5 more pints and whatever else he was doing in the toilets. And it's going to get to a point where he decides that he wants to fight me. So I just thought, it's not worth the hassle. I'm going. But the barmaid managed to track me down and she sent me the video. So I've actually got the video. I think I've even got it. It might even be on the YouTube channel somewhere. I'll post it. I'll post it. In fact, I'll tell you where I put it. I'll tell you where I put it, right? In the membership section. So after this live, I'm going to put that arm wrestling video. I'm going to find it. I'm going to upload it into the membership section. So if you want to see it, just pay the £2 or whatever, because I don't want to sort of. What happens is, I'll tell you, in case you think I'm trying to just scam you out on money to make you join my membership thing. If I post it on my YouTube channel, when you post videos that don't perform very well, it hurts your algorithm. So it means that the next video I post doesn't do as well. So I don't want to post videos that no one's interested in just on my YouTube channel. I only want to post content about plastering on there, you know, because no one wants to see me have an arm wrestle unless just you guys that know about it. So it'll be in the membership bit, or I'll put it on my Facebook as well. I'll put it in the membership bit and on my Facebook, so you'll be able to see it. Andrew Whitby, how many are you having on the course, mate? So there's 6 bays. There's 6 bays, and I originally said 6, but Ben said probably best 5. So I think it'll be 5. At the minute, the 4 spots are gone, and there's 1 left, so 5. I'm saying. I think it'll just be 5. 5's a manageable number, I think. Cosmic Joker. Kurt, your knowledge is priceless. Cheers, mate. Cheers. So only mate, there's nothing I know that I've learned. You know, I only know what I've read from books and what other people have told me. So it's not like I don't want to take all the credit for it. Richard Sharp. After having a really bad job done by so-called plasterers, decided to have a go myself. Watched a few YouTube videos of yours, and yours were great. Really proud of my end result. Thanks to Top Channel. Spot on. Cheers, Richard. I'm glad you got it sorted. Aaron the Plasterer. Evening, mate. How you doing, Aaron? Curious Joe. Love your content, pal. If I'm good with easy fill, does it follow that I could manage skimming? Yeah, because if you're using a handboard and trowel, then you're getting. That's half the battle, knowing how to use the tools. You know, knowing how to use the tools and your tools being broken in is literally half the battle. If you can get past that, then the skimming is just basically learning a few more principles. It's the technique of using your hands that, you know, the muscle memory that is the hard bit. And that's why it takes practice. So if you've already got the practice, I mean, I'm not trying to. It takes a long time to become good at plastering. It's not something you can just do. Like this is why I've specifically said it's a plastering experience on our course, on our day, not so much saying it's a course. So I don't want people to think that you're gonna do one day with me and you're gonna be a fantastic plasterer at the end of it. You know, if you've done a lot of easy fill work and you want to start doing skimming, you're not magically gonna be, you know, fantastic at skimming after one day because you've done a lot of easy fill, but you've built up the muscle memory, and that's all it is. It's plastering is just like, it's one of them things. It just takes practice. It just takes time. There's no sort of shortcuts with it, you know. If you want to get good at skimming, it's realistically going to take you doing it every day for 2 years to be able to, I would say sort of a year at the minimum, 2 years sort of average to get good at skimming. But plastering as a whole, the whole sort of aspect of it probably takes 5 to 7 years to be able to get good at everything, because it takes that time to get through all the different aspects of it. Now, that said, doing a plastering experience, doing a plastering course, you can learn the basics. You can pick up the basic stuff. And then with the basics, you can go and practice with the correct basics. Do you know what I mean? But this is the thing that a lot of fellas get hung up on. They're like, the sort of hate on plastering courses because you can't learn to plaster in a week. And you can't. But you can learn the basics in a week, and then you can go and practice and become good over the next 2 or 3 years. Does that make sense? Curious Joe and Trump. Oh no. Oh yes. You Jess. Thanks for the answer. I'm only a DIYer, so I find one coat plaster easier to use. Thanks for your very interesting videos. Best wishes. We'll do a video on one coat plaster because it's actually designed to go onto bare brick. You build it up a certain thickness first, rule it off, and let it pick up, and then you rub it with a wet sponge to bring the fat up, and then you trowel the fat up. So we'll do a video on that. Magic Butters, cheers, mate. Thank you very much for the tip. Thanks for that, mate. I'll give it a go tomorrow. Ben's a great guy. Did 2 days in Liverpool school plastering. Yes, fantastic. Thanks one, mate. Cheers. Ivan, what's your thoughts on green and blue grit? I would say that they have got their uses. I like using grits if I'm dabbing onto steel and things like that. I don't like skimming on it. Some fellas will, some fellas won't. I personally don't like skimming over grit because it's the thickness of the grit. Your skim has to go on thicker to get over it. And it's sometimes, for me, it feels like I'm trying to trowel up cheese because the finishing plaster is so thick just to get over the grit. So I personally don't like skimming on it, but I do use blue grit. I don't use green grit just because it's so expensive, but I do use blue grit from time to time for getting over steel. That was one of the things when we were doing the pink SBR, we were considering whether to put a grit in it. Now, all these, just to let you know, all these grits, the likes of blue grit, green grit, they are all SBR-based products. And it causes, in my opinion, it causes confusion on purpose. They don't want you to know what the product's made of, you see. So then it's like they've invented something wonderful. Now, when we did the pink SBR, it was in my mind whether I should call it something different, you know, pink prime or something like that. But then I thought to myself, I want people to know and understand. I want people to understand what the products are, what they're actually using. So that's why I just stuck with the name SBR, so people would know, that is that stuff. Now, what's interesting is, as I said to you, the grits, these products, they're all SBR based. They've just got different things in them to thicken them up, to suspend the grit, to be like an emulsion for the grit, which basically means, you know, it holds it so it stays, so it doesn't sink to the bottom, and they've got a dye in them, you know. That's basically it. So we didn't add grit to ours because I don't like grit anyway, so I don't know, would have had to thicken it, and then it would have to go in a different tub, and oh yeah, it's not my thing. Richard Grave, do you ever use sand and cement render? Nowadays, it's getting less and less asked for, but I actually prefer it. But it is sort of becoming less and less popular as people just seem to love monocouche render, you know. So, Rob Copin, hi Kirk, I'm booked in for the 8th and looking forward to meeting you and coming away being a better plasterer. Rob, I'm looking forward to it as well, mate. Spot on. Cheers for the email before as well, mate. FPV finishing, love your content, mate, and I've been subbed for a long while. I just hope the customer was installing carpet over that smoothing compound. I'd like to see a sand and cement job on the channel. Yes, sand and cement jobs will be coming out. What's happening with that? I'll tell you what's interesting. I didn't say it on the video. That job, concrete slab, and they wanted it bringing up level with the floor in the dining room, but they're having LVT. And what's going to happen is the LVT company are going to come in and they're going to go over the whole downstairs of the house, but they didn't want to have to build that up first. So that's why they asked the double glazing firm to ask me to just bring that up to the same level for them, just to get it started, because they want to put a nice fine finish over everything for the LVT. Ronan, yes, Kurt, came up on my homepage, mate. Overdue a good spa, my mate. Yes. Hey, Ronan, I've just got on to who it is. I was with your dad, so just so you know, Ronan is a lad that I boxed with at the Golden Stuff before I hurt my knee. Right, so long story. Before I hurt my knee, I had my son, and before my son, I was boxing in Ellesmere Port for a club that I've boxed for many, many years when I was younger. And Ronan's one of the top lads in there. Now, he's doing mixed martial arts and stuff now, so I haven't seen him for a while. Ronan, you do know that the gym's moved as well, don't you? It's in the old Woolworths in Ellesmere Port now. But yes, I'm having me pre-op, mate. My knee's getting fixed. I'm having me pre-op. I'm going to lose this fat belly, and I'll be back in the gym. So you can punch me head in as much as you want, mate. I'm looking forward to it. I was with your dad the other night, mate. 2 nights ago in the Labour Club. Sam Birch, yes, Kirk, want to shout you out. One of the only people out there giving positive work tips and helpful guides on plastering. Most people think they're the best thing to walk the earth with our trade. I know, mate. I know it's gets a bit much sometimes, doesn't it? You know, the amount of slagging off that goes on the internet. People, the best plasterers in the world, and they never put any content out there. All they do is just rip into other people. I've seen them all, mate. I've never met a fellow like that that's impressed me either, you know, when it comes to the skills. So take the notice of them, Sam. Deco 39. I wonder if it's climate related too. I can't think what we were talking about, mate. Taping versus plastering. Oh, right, okay. No, because there is solid plastering that happens in America. Well, then again, America's got different climates in different parts, so I don't know, but who knows? Rusty 188, how you doing, mate? Slow hair, I wouldn't mind being an apprentice for the day. Get in the description. I don't know if it's gone. It might have gone by now. I haven't. My phone's on silent, so I don't know. TRS F1 Racing. Kurt, great work, mucker. Cheers, mate. David, thoughts on doing work for friends and family? Do you charge full or heavily discounted? Hate them jobs. PS, is the bathroom finished? See, I told you someone would ask it, didn't I? I said at the start. No, it's not. I haven't got time to do my own bathroom. Friends and family, yeah. It's either, for me, I either do one or two things. If I like them, I'll just go and do it for free. And if I'm not that fond of them, but they're still friends and family, I just tell them I'm too busy. And when I'm too busy, I'm too busy. So if you're a friend or family watching this thinking, he doesn't like me, sometimes I'm genuinely too busy. Sometimes I'm not, and I'll do it for free. But it's ultimately what I found is when you do cheap jobs, the friend or the family member don't actually appreciate that you've done it cheap, and they still think they've paid through the nose for it. So then it's sort of like you've done them a favor, but they don't know it. And not that you do it to receive, but you sort of like, you know, yeah, it's just work for your customers. Let somebody else do the job for them. It can be less hassle. Do they teach lime plastering at college these days? I don't know, mate. I don't know. That said, there are Timar, I think, is the closest lime supplier to me, and they do training courses there. So even if they don't, You could, if you wanted to go and do a training course on it, there is places where you can go and do lime plastering. Flipping heck, I've just skipped to the bottom here. Right. I'm gonna have to read these comments fast because they're piling up and I'm not getting through them quick enough. Right, Deco, let's just blast through these comments fast. So please excuse me if you don't get a full answer. If you need me to go into more detail than anything, just pop another comment in. Here in the States, interior plastering is unheard of any longer. American plastering trades are dead. Sorry to hear that, mate. F1 racing, dry lining is BS in America. Can't beat plaster finish. I agree. Stephen Scaff, hi from Coolock, Dublin. Enjoy the Guinness, pal, Stephen. Yeah. Unfortunately, mate, I'm having the draft stout, not the original, but we had a bit of a drought of Guinness over here, mate. I think you boys were drinking all of it, so F1 racing, I've been at it 25 years. Old school now then, mate. Israel, up the Trump. Top man. Victoria Field, do you cover Shropshire? It's a bit far for me, if I'm honest with you. Depending on the job, if the job was really interesting, it was something different, then I'd go and do it. But if it's just a standard skimming job, then it's a bit far for me. F1 racing, Mega 25, yes. Oh, there we go. David Matthews, he'll come and do your job for you, Victoria. So maybe exchange email addresses and away you go. Poopot. I haven't seen a comment off you for flipping ages, Poopot. Hello, Captain Kirk. Hopes all's well. Totally nerdy question here. They use mud in the USA. I've never seen them use anything else. Is that because they don't have gypsum-based plaster like in the UK? So, yeah, what you'll find is their mud probably will be gypsum. They just give it a different name. Or finishing plasters are gypsum based, but there's other aggregates in it, and that's why it's sort of a different color, because pure gypsum's white, and that's basically the mud that you're talking about that they do the joints with. But they put a lot of retarders and stuff in it, you know. What you're going to think is pure gypsum plaster is basically plaster of Paris, you know, and then they add different things to it for, you know, for different purposes. Ross, I hope Kirk. Love your content, pal. I'm a plasterer 20 years. Cheers, Ross. F1 Racing. Oi, oi, up the spreads. AJ, Bubs, how's it going? Rock Ferry is as rough as a stuntman's knee. Yeah. I'm going to remind me someone to put that video in the what's the name later, because I'll forget otherwise. Midnight Toker. AJ Bob's like calling Marty McFly chicken. Singram, I've had shit tradesmen in the past, so good to see you care about doing a thorough job and are willing to take a hit sometimes to do it right by the customer. Better for business in the long run. Spot on, mate. That's my views on it, yeah. USS Liberty, never forget. Welcome to that. There we go. He wants to see the arm wrestling vid. I'll get it up there for you, mate. James Price, hi Kirk. How do you go about sand and cement internal render? So if I'm using sand and cement internally, I usually will do a 4-to-1 mix or a 5-to-1 mix, depending on the background. I personally do my top coat and my scratch coat the same strength. Some fellas say you should go weaker in layers, but I personally don't. I never have a problem. If you are using sand and cement because you have got moisture issues, penetrating damp or rising damp, then you want to use a waterproofing additive. Now, here's what I personally do. I don't put waterproofing in my scratch coat. I put it in my top coat. So I'll scratch coat one day because there's no sun or wind inside the house. It'll still be damp the next day. So I'll scratch coat it. top it the next day and float it and rub it up. But I'll put the waterproof it in that coat. So that's going to be the waterproof coat, the floating coat. But then when you come to skim on it, your skim isn't going to pull in too fast because it's got waterproof in there. And also, because you haven't put the waterproof in your scratch coat, your floating coat won't hang for ages, won't stay wet for ages. So you can put it on in the morning and rub it up in the afternoon. Hope that makes sense to you. I should do a video on it, but it's like anything, isn't it? I have to get the job to be able to do it. So, Midnight Toker, right stead, Fred probably still gets ripped for that. Singram, yeah, for the arm wrestle. Yeah. Tell you what, when you see the video, if you look, I'm not kidding you, his biceps are like that big. His arms are like flipping like that. Singram, when you say fat, what do you mean? If I'm referring to me, then probably just that I've got a fat belly. If I'm referring to the plaster, when you are troweling up plaster, you will start to bring plaster off the surface. When you're wetting it and troweling it, you start to dilute the plaster, and we just call it the fat of the plaster that comes off. So you usually end up like, when you're giving it the second wet trowel, what you actually end up with on your trowel is like fat, and you just wipe it off in your bucket or wipe it somewhere, Doug, hey, hi Kirk, mate. Have you ever had a go at Venetian polished plaster? Yes, mate. I just don't get asked that much to do it, but I have done some. FPV fishing. I'm glad you said that. Thank God. Midnight Toker, Kirk. I'd just like to say your content is up there with the very best. Cheers, mate. Appreciate you. Ready to burn wood art. Your favourite people. Hi, Kirk. How you doing? Thanks, me clock. Love it. Daniel, you're the top guy. Honestly, top honest man. Thank you. Cheers, Dan. Egg Boy 2KB. Kirk, good sir. I love to watch your videos. Love and best wishes from Northern Ireland. Thank you very much, my friend. Let's go. Poopot. Is it a bad idea to sand and cement render an outside wall if it's a non-cavity wall on the inside? Would it encourage moisture to be drawn into the brick on the inside of the house? No. No. If you put a sand and cement render on the outside, the bricks are porous, the sand and cement render will be porous. So you've got to think, right? If you've got a solid wall, you've got a solid brick, 9-inch wall, if it's getting soaked with rain from the outside, eventually that moisture will be able to pass through to the inside. And that's why they were lime plastered internally, because the moisture would be dispersed by the lime and it wouldn't be an issue. Okay. Now, if you've got a solid 9-inch wall and you put a sand and cement coat on the outside and you don't put any waterproof in it, that's porous. So it's only doing exactly the same thing. If the render starts getting cracks and loose bits, then you could potentially get water in behind the render that gets trapped in there, and that's going to soak through the wall faster. Okay, so that could be a problem. But as long as the render's in good condition, there's no difference. Now, if you decide to put a waterproofer in that render, then you are actually putting a waterproof coat on the outside of the house. So that's going to make it better for you. And if you painted it, then that's going to be better again, because it's going to stop any moisture getting through. But bear in mind, when you're doing that, if the render's not good quality and you paint it, or the render's got cracks and stuff in it, and water can get in behind it, then you trap it. The water can't come out through the render. It can only go into your house. Does that make sense? So it's just something to consider. Rendering it is not going to do any harm to it. You can actually protect the house more with render. But if the render falls apart or deteriorates, then you can make the problem worse. So it's like anything, isn't it? It can be a benefit or a hindrance depending on the quality. Rob Copin, the last free job I did for a good friend ended up going up. Yes, it's always the way. You try and do someone a favour and it just ends up going like complete chaos. Hilster, what do you reckon to Venetian plastering? I like it. I like the look of it. It's got to be in the right setting, you know, because it can look tacky in the wrong house. So in the right places, you know, restaurants, things like that, I think it looks good. Big homes, but you know, your average 3-bed semi, I think I mean, I did a little bit of mine and it basically looked a bit cheesy, you know. Bit like something that Del Boy would have, you know. Jean Pomme, or whatever he says in French. I am Negan. Lads, any Portsmouth or nearby firms in the chat? Adrian, your videos have been taking up all my free time. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for the support. Egg Boy Kirk, I've been a labourer for 4 years myself. I'd love a day with you, lad. It'd be some crack for a video. Keep up the videos coming. I really enjoy it. Trump 2024. Hey, just to let you know, Egg Boy, at some point I'm coming to Ireland to come and see a friend of mine called Mark Neeson. So I don't know if you connect with Mark. He's on Facebook. He's in the, what do they call it now? Trial Talk group on Facebook, Mark Neeson. I'm going to be coming over to do some work with Mark in the summer, probably. I'm going to surprise him and just turn up out the blue. So whilst I'll let you know when I'm coming to Ireland, I'll be announcing it'll be on my YouTube. And I don't know where he is yet, but when I find him, I'll be letting people know where I am. And if you want to catch up for the pint, mate, you're more than welcome to drop in. AJ, take it easy, mate. Good night, good bless. Josh Mitchell, are you VAT registered? Yes, mate, I am. Yeah. It's interesting. I've got a few different things on the go at the minute, mate, with having the SBR, having a coaching group, and having YouTube and all that sort of stuff, and then me plastering. So some of me little things are VAT registered and some aren't. So I don't like any of it, though. I'll be honest with you. I flipping hate paying tax, mate. It hurts me, but there's no way out of it, unfortunately. Where are we going here now? Hilster, are you working in the morning, and what have you to do if you are, mate? Yeah, I'm working tomorrow morning. We've got a HUP system extension, which is cement board on the outside. So an extension that's all cement boarded outside, and we are putting a thin coat plastering system on the outside of it, and we're going to be spraying it with using a spray machine. First sort of video I've ever done on that, and we're doing it to make a video. So, well, the job needs doing, but we're going to make a video of it. So that's what I'm starting tomorrow. But I've got to be at the hospital for 2:30 for me pre-op for my knee. So, Poopot, brilliant explanation, Kirk. Thank you. Spot on. Arts and Cars. Hi, Kirk. Have you fully recovered from your pneumonia? And please be prepared for shingles, as that's what I had 3 to 6 months after the illness. Okay, I'll have to look what shingles are. Yeah, I feel like I'm back to 100% myself again now, you know. MB, I'm Pompeii DIY, though. Finally finished a bit off in my haul today. Took blown stuff off 2 months ago, and it's been scratch coat since. Finally done. Couldn't have done it without this channel. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Cosmic Joker, hi again, Kirk. Do you see your channel pulling off the job in the future and becoming your full-time job? I hope you do really well. All the best to you and your family. Cheers, mate. It's sort of, I'll be honest with you, mate, it's sort of gone like that a little bit now, where I'm sort of at the point where I only really do jobs that I want to make videos of, you know. And I do stuff for a window fitting firm that he's such a nice bloke, I can't not do it for him. So, but that's sort of where it's gone already, you know. SMN Grim, I don't know I don't know how to pronounce that. Did you ever do a part 2 for your bathroom installation video? Not yet, because I haven't even done it yet, but I will do. This is the problem I've got. I'm so busy. I haven't got time to do my own jobs because I'm doing so much other stuff. So I'm just filling you in and letting you know what's going on, right? We're doing this thing with Liverpool School of Plastering. So we're doing a plastering experience day. We've brought out a product, SPR and cleared SPR. We've teamed up with Easy Mix to sell their half time and extra time through my website as well. And we've just brought out a floor primer, and we're in the middle of bringing out a stabilizing solution. You can find all this, by the way. All of this is, click on the link in the description, right? For everything I'm about to tell you, there's a link in the description for all this. All them things up to now all need sort of the background work going into them, the testing, the product development, the marketing, the building the website pages. There's so much involved in all that. It's just bizarre how much stuff I have to do. As well as all that, we have the sales and marketing coaching group where I have fellas in a private group where I teach them sales and marketing. Again, that's in the link in the description for that. Making videos and actually doing a few little jobs. I genuinely haven't got any spare time. I'm more busy now than I've ever been in my life. It's flipping nuts. So I haven't done a part 2 for my bathroom yet because I just haven't had time to do it. And the thing is, I can't, as I said before, I can't get somebody else to do it because then everyone will go, oh, well, he did part 1, but he obviously didn't know what he was doing because he hasn't finished it. So I've got to finish it. I can't let anybody else do it because I've got to sort of, I've got some pride about me. I've got to show you that I'm going to do the whole job and it'll be mint. But I haven't been able to do it just yet because I've been busy. So, yeah, that's where, trust me, it bugs me. My missus bugs me about it even more. But that's where we're at the minute. I will do part 2. It will be this year. I guarantee it'll be this year. It's been nearly a year. Flipping heck, I'm a bad husband. Do you know what? We're actually looking at moving house. We might even end up moving house before it gets done. We've got too many people in this house. This is a 3-bedroom house, and we've got 4 kids. We've got more people in the house than what we've got space for. So, John Brown, Kurt, can you plaster over lime wet dash? Can you plaster over lime wet dash? I don't know what lime wet dash is, mate. Oh, we're there. Okay, yeah. So a wet dash. Okay, I'm with you. So we call it rough casting. So basically, lime, sand, and stones thrown at the wall, harling, rough cast, splatter dash, wet dash. Okay, can you plaster over it? It depends. So yes, you could just put a stabilizing solution on it, and then prime it and put some back coat plaster. And you know you can put plaster on it. You'll be able to do it. But what you've got to be careful of is, where is it? Is it in a place where it still needs to be able to disperse moisture? So is it in a place where it can still get damp? Can any moisture from anywhere travel to it? Is it inside a porch? Is it outside? You know, if it's inside a porch that's just been built, have you cut through the wall and put a DPC, barrier in the wall to stop moisture coming from outside into it? Does that make sense? Joe Pamley, you're a real legend, mate. Cheers, Joe. Thanks, mate. I'm just a regular guy. don't feel anything special. Trust me, if you spent a flipping week around me, mate, you'd probably be sick of me. Conterzi. It's an interesting name, mate. Hi, Kirk. I've always wanted to plaster. Do you think these paid plastering courses are worth it, or are they a con? Well, see, it depends what you're expecting to get out of it. Basically, when you go on a plastering course, you are going to be with a plasterer for however long that course is, aren't you? Right. So if you're on a 1-day course, a 3-day course, a flipping 5-week course, whatever, you're just basically spending time with a plasterer for that amount of time. Now, you've got to get into your mind that will not go from 0 to plasterer in anything less than a year. So if you go to a 3-week course and expect to be a plasterer at the end of a 3-week course, then it's going to seem like a con for you, because you won't be a plasterer after 3 weeks or 3 days or a day or whatever. Because you're going to need to practice, you're going to need to get better, okay? If you come along to a week course or a day experience, whatever, then you are going to learn certain principles that are going to fast forward you in your learning process. So it depends what your expectations are of whether you see it as a con or not, you know? Like, I'm going to do a plastering day experience. You can come and work with me for the day, right? We're doing that shortly. I would say if you come and spend a day with me and Ben, you are going to be 200% further along down the road to being a plasterer than if you hadn't spent the time with us. But you are not going to be a plasterer at the end of that day. Does that make sense, man? I'm trying to be as sort of transparent and open about that as possible. It's like it's like anything. If you want to get good at stuff, it takes time, it takes practice. I want to be great at doing YouTube videos. I could go and spend a day with Mr. Beast and I'd learn so much, so many little tips and tricks and little hacks of how to do certain things, and I'd be a lot better. But I still wouldn't have a channel with 20 million people after that time with him. Do you know what I'm saying? It takes time to then let that information sink in and you to practice it and get better. And now I see what he meant. After 3 months of doing something, you go, that's what he meant when he said that. Now it's actually clicking in. Now I understand it. So, yeah, that's about the best answer I can give you, mate. Egg Boy 2KB. Well, that's the the pints are on me, brother. Look forward to the date, sir. Yes, I'll see you then. Maria Rachel Prescott. Hi, mate. I used to be a plasterer's labourer when I was 16, now 45. I'm assuming your name's not Maria then. You must be on your wife's account. Always mix with a stick. So you used the whisk, watched you for a few hours, and it all came back to me. My granddad said it all in the wrist. Yes, fair dues, mate. Mixing with the old stick and podger as well. Hillster, keep up the great work, sir. Cheers, Hillster. Darren Clayton, hi Kirk. Could you put a waterproof scratch coat on a 9-inch wall, then dot and dab it? Would this stop any damp? Cheers, Kirk. In theory, yes. In theory, yes. I've done it. Is it textbook? I don't know. I've never seen it in the textbooks. In theory, it works. I've done it. I think it works. There might be guys that disagree with me, but yeah, if you put a waterproofing, because you're going to understand as well, solid 9-inch wall, it's not under pressure, the moisture that's coming through. It's only sort of, there's a special word for it. I can't think what it is, but there's no pressure pushing the water through. So a coat of sanding cement with waterproofer in it will hold it back. Trooper 8194. Been brilliant to watch these videos. Really have helped, pal. Thank you. Can I ask about using out-of-date plaster and why does it go off so fast, or is it the way I've mixed it? So out-of-date plaster, the atmosphere is going to affect it, and that's basically why it goes out of date. The moisture content in the air, you don't see it, but you do in the cold when you got that. You see the moisture in the air. That is affecting the plaster all the time, so that's why it goes out of date. If it was kept in an airtight bag, then it would be okay. But ultimately, the plaster, when it's made, is burned. It's cooked really hot, and it just expels all the moisture from it. So it's a powder form, and it's got no moisture whatsoever. And then over time, it's going to draw moisture back out of the atmosphere, and it's going to set again, back to its original state. Maria, Rachel Prescott, thank you for learning people the trade. Try my best. Cheers, mate. Robin, hey, Kirk. How would you deal with Pebble Dash? Take it back to brick and render, or is it possible to render over? Love your videos. So I've done both ways. I prefer to always take it back to the brick. If I'm putting a new plastering system in or a new rendering system in, I prefer to it to just be onto the solid brickwork, because then I know. See, if you go over it, you're relying on somebody else's work to be solid, aren't you? You're relying on somebody else, and that their work's still solid. So I would, for what it costs to take it off, I'd just take it off. It's going to take you a day aside. So 4 sides of a house, 4 days work to do it. It's not super expensive. That said, I've gone over it a few situations where it's been in a situation where you don't want to be knocking it off. So we did a job where there was a conservatory right underneath it. It's like a 3-story house with a conservatory, and I didn't want to start chopping off the Pebble Dash at the top and it to be landed on the roof. So we did, obviously you can sheet it and cover it, but it was just a situation where it was too risky. The scaffolding wasn't the best, and it was like, yeah, I'm not risking my life for this. It was solid all over. As long as you tap it around, tap it with a little hammer, make sure it's all nice and solid. If it's solid, then you shouldn't have much of a problem, but it is better to take it off. And then M saying never render over Pebble Dash. See, people give you different opinions. Now, the reason he's saying never go over it is because if you go over it and it's loose, then what you've just put on is loose, isn't it? So, Poo Pot, I've been told to lime point the outside of my house, but I don't see why you couldn't sand the cement mortar it with waterproof it and use water seal on the bricks to stop any water ingress. Any advice? Okay, so Poo Pot, yeah, look, if you've got so my personal opinion is, if you've got a solid 9-inch wall, then unless you're going to do the whole house the same way, I would rather just say, okay, we've got lime plaster inside, we've got a solid 9-inch wall, just use lime mortar, everything's breathable, everything's letting the moisture disperse. But if you're going to go down the route of wanting to put gypsum-based plasters internally, then you're going to need to waterproof it. So then, if you're going to do that, do everything you possibly can to make the whole thing waterproof. So then, if you're going to do that, I would say, okay, well, let's go down the route that you're saying. Let's, use sand and cement internally and put waterproofer in that. But if you've got a mix match of all different stuff, if you've got rooms that are still lime plastered inside, and I would try and stick with the system that the house was originally built for. If you've got a cavity, then you can do what you want internally. If you haven't, then it's always best to do as much lime plastering. Anything new, try and do it in lime, unless you're gutting the whole place out and going to make it all waterproof. I'm not saying what you're going to do won't work or is wrong. I'm just thinking a best case scenario. I wouldn't want to give you some bad advice and you end up sort of trapping moisture in your house, and then you've got damp problems and mold growing and all sorts of stuff. Because the thing with it is, the problems come out later down the line, not instantly, and I'll tell you another thing as well, mate, just so you don't feel like I'm fobbing you off. It's so hard for me to give you the best advice off just a comment on YouTube, If I was in your house with you having a look at it, then we could come up with a great plan. But it's so hard for me to just give you the right advice for your situation when anybody else reading this comment could think that's completely wrong, and then just, I'm sort of damaging my own credibility by giving you the wrong advice. Does that make sense, mate? Not clean enough or stable to take the weight of the render. Yeah, in some situations. And so it's sometimes, you could clean the Pebble Dash. What you got to think as well is, comes to cleanness, is the Pebble Dash going to be cleaner than the brickwork? Would you jet wash the brickwork first? You could just jet wash the Pebble dash. If the pebble dash has been painted, that's a whole different ball game you've got to deal with. And also, stable enough. That's the key bit for me. That's the key bit. That's why I don't like going over anything old, because you're only as good as what you're fixing to, aren't you? Nod the Mask, thanks for the videos, mate. Plastering my first room, thanks to you. Your videos. Have you got any good videos of doing a sand cement base? I've got no cavity and 2 walls are exterior. I haven't, unfortunately. It's something I want to make a video on. Where do you live? Let's just email me your address. I'll come and do it for you so I can make a flipping video on it. I need to make a video on how to float walls internally with sand and cement. So if you aren't too far away, I'll come and do the floating for you so I can film it. Flipping, I've got to get it on my channel at some point, and I keep waiting for customers to phone me and say, "Oh, I need this doing." But 2 years I've had my YouTube channel, and I haven't done any floating inside for 2 years. John Brown, gables of an old house with no cavity. Andy Davis, you can't be as bad as my mate's old man 40 years ago. If you weren't quick enough, you got a clip. Danny Arbuckle, how's it going, Danny? I'd love to, mate. Hopefully get rained off again. Yes, Danny. Danny come to me ages ago, and we were going to do some plastering, and we ended up we just went to the pub for 2 days. Oh, that was a mad time, that, Dan. Egg Boy, Maria lol whipped. I don't even know what happened. John Brown. So, Kirk, I have a client looking to render the gables of an old house with no cavity, and it's a lime wet dash that was originally done in. Is it possible, or would EWI be better for them? Okay. Right, I see. Yeah, what I would do, VPI do a lime range of render. I would do it again in lime. And if you don't want to go down the whole lime route of having to know how to mix it and, you know, which lime to buy and all that, and you wanted just something nice and simple, VPI do a bagged pre-mixed lime render, pre-coloured, like K-Rend, but lighter, lovely to use, and you can just render a house in that, whether you want to rub it up smooth, whether you want to put a pattern in it, whether you want to do it scraped. You could even dash it if you wanted to, and you can just use their products, mate. And that way, you're ticking all the boxes. You're putting back what the original fabric of the building, when it was originally made from, and that way, you know, it's you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. External wall insulation. I've done a few jobs of it. I personally don't want it on my house. Wrapping the outside of the house in polystyrene, it's not something that I personally think is a good way forward. You know, but they're doing it, so, and I've done it myself, so, but I wouldn't want to. I would never recommend that to a customer unless it was they were looking at trying to insulate the house. I wouldn't just do it for the sake of doing it, you know. Darius Kirk, you're the most positive plasterer I've ever seen. Cheers, mate. It's the Guinness, mate. That's what makes me positive. Zarkus Flow. All right, mate. Notice you mainly use board finish. What's the reasoning behind it? It sets faster. It sets faster. It's nicer to use. I'll tell you how it started. I used to use board finish on the building sites because I started my life as a site plasterer, and that's all we used. And then what happened was we'd go and do little private jobs on the weekend, and we just pinch the bags. Sorry, Dave Waring. Dave, if you're watching, sorry. We used to pinch your plaster. He knows anyway. He knew. But we'd just pinch like 6 bags and go and skim someone's living room or something. So I just got used to using it all the time. I've used multi-finish, but what you find is it just takes longer to set. So when you get used to just using a plaster that sets a bit quicker, gets a better polish on it, and is nicer to use, I prefer to do it. Multi-finish is designed for medium suction backgrounds as well as low suction backgrounds, whereas board finish is designed for just low suction backgrounds. Now, what that means is the multi finish, you can put it on a higher suction background and it doesn't dry out as fast. It stays soft for longer. So it's just, all it means to me is it puts an extra hour on my day using multi finish. So I would rather not use it and just finish an hour earlier. That's basically the top and tail of it. Poopot, just talking about plastering. It's thirsty work for me. Kirk, I've had to fix myself a stiff Ribena on the rocks. Tam Broon. Hi, Kirk. I'm Apprentice plasterer. Recently done a plastering patch in my house, and all I can do better with my house, and I know I can do better. What's the best way to go about fixing it? Should I chip it all off and start again, or sand it? It depends. If it's a big lump, then just chop it off. Yeah, sanding it's going to, take a longer time. And then ultimately, when you're patching, just remember whenever you're blending in water, you've got to use brush the blend and plenty of water, and that you can't really go wrong as long as every time the trowel touches it, before the trowel touches it, brush it with water. John Mitchell, how you doing, mate? Josh Mitchell, thanks for your reply, top fella. Do you employ many people? No. Well, I work alongside a lot of people. I don't like to sort of employ people, so I like teaming up with people instead, I currently just have my apprentice working for me. Everybody else we sort of work in partnerships with, for all the other bits and bobs that I've ended up doing. Poopot, thanks for your help, Kirk. Makes sense, buddy. So, cheers, mate. Tam Broon, the mix wasn't the greatest due to not having a paddle mixer, and it's set way too quickly. It's just a bit bumpy and further out than the initial wall. You could potentially sand it down and then just touch it up with some easy fill, maybe. Tam Broon, love your videos, though, mate. Cheers, Tam. Danny, buckle. I think I'm due another trip up soon. It's been a while, mate. Yeah, that was one savage weekend. That I'm off the drink at the moment, though. Have been since just before Xmas. I'm due a few. Danny, there's always a place here for you, mate. Get yourself down here, and we'll have a few. We'll have a few sherbets, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, mate. Asif Camel, how to make external or internal wall insulation on Howard steel frame house, and how much would it cost if you want to do it? So on the steel framed houses, the best way to do it, mate, is first of all to fix a cement board, a render carrier board to the wall. So you're going to fix, because it's a steel frame, you're going to fix the cement board first, and then you can fix the external wall insulation to that. And then that way it's got a good background to fix to, if you want, I'll tell you the best way of doing this. Asif, speak to EcoRend. So there's a company called EcoRend, ECO Rend, right? EcoRend have got a system that they've specified to do exactly what you want to do. If you speak to them, they'll send a rep out. This is all free. They'll send a rep out to you, and he will give you an exact specification on what products to use for the whole job. And then that way you can't go wrong with it. You'll have no issues. John Brown, Kurt, do you fancy coming to Ireland to do the gables for me? Let me know your price. It's 51 square meters. Would love to work beside you and learn something new. Yeah, I would. The only thing, John, at the minute, the only thing I'm thinking at the minute is timing. I will come to Ireland and do it. coming to Ireland to do some lime plastering sounds great for me, and we can make a great video and we'll have a good laugh doing it as well. I tell you, the only thing that I'm thinking is I've got my knee operation coming up. We've got winter time now, and then I've got my knee op, and I don't know what I'm going to be like after my knee op. So I don't know if we're going to be able to squeeze it in before. I don't know. Let's talk about it more, John. If you want to do it, if you're serious, if you want to do it, then drop me an email. Go to my channel description. Find my YouTube channel. Go to the description. My email address is in there. Drop me an email with your phone number, and we'll have a little chat, and we'll see if we can sort something out. But yeah, we'll have. If we can make it happen, then I'll definitely be up for it. A-Flex plastering video was excellent, mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Nod the Mask. Nowhere near you, I don't think, mate. I'm in Birmingham. Shame I have an unholy amount of Guinness in stock. Yeah, you wouldn't have if I turned up, mate. I'd make a good dint in it for you. Hobbyist, van builder, and DIY. How's it going? Do you like a live? You do like a live later on a Sunday night? Anyway, quick question regarding the day with you. Will you cover rendering? I'm self-taught, but would like to learn render. Then my home. Not on this first one, mate. We potentially can, because I know Ben has had in the School of Plastering a section set up for the rendering, but I don't think all the bays are set up for it. So we could talk about it, but I don't think it's going to happen the first one that we do. Maybe ones further down the line we'll be able to go into that. If that happens, you know, we'll just have to see how it goes. Sam Birch, do you use gypsum fast set? Save so much money on buying half time. I don't know. I still use this. Where's it gone? I still use the little sachets at half time just because I like to be able to control the amounts that goes in. So if, say for instance, if I use gypsum fast set, that could still take a lot longer than if I put 3 of them in a quarter of a bucket of finish. So I always look at labour over materials. My time, regardless of the, you know, whatever they cost, a couple of quid, 6 quid for 3 of them, I'd rather just blast them in and be gone 2 hours faster, you know. But we've all got different ways, mate. I'm not knocking your way. And as well, they don't sell fast set near me. So as if, thanks for the advice, mate. Bless you. As if, you know, I might be wrong on phone an eco render. It might be you need to phone. Yeah, I am. Right, okay. I've given you the wrong people to phone. Google Galaxy Insulation. Okay, Google Galaxy Insulation, and you want to speak to a fellow called Stu. He's the rep for them. Galaxy Insulation, Stu, and it's a Galaxy, and it'll have like little stars around the G. Okay, like the Galaxy, little stars on the G. You want to speak to the rep called Stuart. He's got the specification for your type house. It's just come to me then. It wasn't Eco Rend, it was Stuart from Galaxy. Danny Arbuckle, top man. I'll hold you to that, mate. I'm sure I'll be up soon enough. Loves it up the port. Great place. Spot on, Danny. Do you know what, mate? These flipping. Oh, do you know when I've got netted in these shorts and it's making me flipping dead itchy? So I'm going to blast through these last comments. It's nearly midnight, and then I'm going to bed after the post that arm wrestling video. Where are we up to? Dave Fitzgerald. Kirk, could I ask you for the name of the book you sometimes use for information? I use a few books. If you want a great recommendation for a plastering book, I would get Plastering by J.B. Taylor. That book. It's sometimes different colours, the cover, but it's J.B. Taylor Plastering. Okay, there's different covers from different editions. That's a good book to get. Plastering an Encyclopedia by Peg and Stag. That's also a good book to get. But ultimately, if you, depends what you want to do. Them 2 books, perfect for everything. If you wanted to look into if you were a bit of a nerd and you wanted to sort of look at all the old school stuff, how to, do running in situ line work and all that sort of stuff, then you want to get a book by William Miller, Plastering, Plain and Decorative, but you're going to pay a few quid for that to reprint. Don Head Publications make it. They do a reprint of it. I think it'd be about 200 quid for that book now, though. But that's like the Bible of plastering. It's there. See that big thick book. But that's a great book, to be fair. Ben Williams, hey up Kirk. Oh, where's that gone now? Hey up Kirk, your vids have converted me over to board finish from multi. Oh, it's lovely to work with. Plus, I like the green bag. Keep up the good work, pal. Glad you like it, Ben. Dave, and tell if you come to Ireland, I'd love to meet you and see the lime plastering. I'd love to learn that. Spot on, Dave. Cosmic Joker. My poor granddad was in the garden this afternoon and fell down a water hole. His eyes are going. He can't see that well. He can't see that well. Don't start taking this. I thought you were serious then. John Brown, Top Man Kirk, speak soon. All right, John. Liverpool School Plastering. Eco Rend, a very good company and product. We have outside areas for rendering, mate, coming soon. There we go. See? Yeah, we will be doing rendering. Hopefully, if Ben lets me stay. We'll see how we get on. Leo, I did hardwall patches first coat, and they've been left for 3 weeks while doing other things. I'm going to do the second coat soon and then finish. Do I need to SBR for the second coat because they got left? If you put a second coat of hardwall on, no, because the hardwall is designed to go over high suction backgrounds. If you put in finishing plaster on, then potentially yes, because it'll be a nightmare to skim on. That said, hardwall doesn't suck as much as bonding coats, so you might get away with just damping it down if you're going to be skimming on it. But if it's another coat of hardwall, then no, you don't need to do anything like that. Louis Finn, hi mate. Do you think it's worth getting plastering qualifications? If you're at the point where you can get them, just get them. It's not going to hurt you to have them. If you're sort of young enough and you're in college or you've got the opportunity to go to college, go and get them. Because if you ever want to move abroad or anything like that, it's going to come in handy for you. Will the general public ask you for your qualifications when you turn to a job? No, I've never had to show anyone my qualifications to go and to plaster Mrs. Jones's living room. And I know lads that all they go on about is the qualifications. They had a distinction in college when they were plastering, and they are absolutely crap at plastering. So, in my opinion, for actually doing the job, they're not important. But for the red tape in life, they might come in useful. You're better having them than not having them if you've got the opportunity to get them. But if you haven't got the opportunity, then don't stress about it too much, is what I'm trying to say. Asif, yeah, spot on, mate. Sean O'Donnell, great Jack Kirk. Off to bed now, all the best. Yeah, I need to go to bed myself. I just don't want to leave anyone's comment not read. Poopot, plastering, wedgie Kirk means bedtime. Good night, God bless. It's been emotional. Yeah, I shouldn't have read that. You've took me saying. German Shepherd, Scuba Yellow Kirk, been watching a while. I'm a tiler and would love to get into plastering. Mate, not a massive leap for you. Slow hair. All the best, Skipper. Nighty night. Take it easy, mate. Rock. Good night. Egger boy, where about are you visiting in Ireland, Kirk? I don't actually know where Mark Neeson is. Don't know, mates. Ultimately, more details to be confirmed. And the last comment that I'm reading before I go to bed myself, Andrew Lycan. What's a good rate for a plasterer's labourer? I used to work for a guy who charged hundreds for me to the customer and then gave me very little. I would say plasterer's labourer. If you aren't plastering anything, then £100 a day is gonna probably be about the limit. If you aren't actually doing any plastering to help, because that if you aren't actually putting any plaster on the wall, then basically what that man is putting on the wall, he's having to pay you out of his money. If that makes sense. So the Wondering Mason, I'm last. Luke Vickery, get one more for any chance. I don't know what that means. Okay, Kurt, good night, legend. Tom Dalton, Mike Kurt about Liverpool School Plastering. Bye, mate. Chat soon. Andrew Leggin, you're an amazing man, Kirk. I'm going. Don't say any more comments, gentlemen. It's been emotional. Good night, God bless. Take it easy. Cheers. Thanks for the chat.